Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on learmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel, and it's free of charge. And thank you, all the people who've done so up to now. Good evening, Joe Waters, all the way from Seattle, Washington.
Good evening, Pat.
And we're happy that we have the weather as good as you have it at long last. It's a rare occurrence, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Now
I see it's warmer in Ireland than it is on the Costa del Sol or something like that.
Absolutely. We were roasting yesterday in the sun, and I was in the uncovered stand, so I had to cover up my red nose. But I wasn't complaining. It was a cracking game. But I suppose, Joe, we're at the business end of an awful lot of the soccer season, you know.
Yes, we are.
Obviously, we'll be covering soccer and a bit of rugby and Formula One, golf, GA, cycling, but we know whatever we'll get to. But I suppose Man City are the champions in England, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
But I was looking at a funny statistic today. Where did I write it down somewhere? I'll find it in a minute anyway. Oh, yeah. Haaland scored 36 goals for Man City. I'm not saying Man City wouldn't have won the league without him, but I think they'd have struggled.
Well, you know, it's very interesting. You know, it makes a huge difference. But City do have other players that can spread goals throughout the team with.
Yeah.
But you know, this reminds me of Sir Alex Ferguson's last United team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when City won the league on goal difference with that QPR game when Sergio Aguero scored, Joey Barton gets sent off, and they win that league championship. Well, Sir Alex Ferguson straight away went out and signed, Robin van Persie from Arsenal.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, "What do you think of that sign?" I said, "United are going to walk away with the league next year." And they said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I said, "They've just signed Van Persie, who in that team will score probably 30 goals for them. They only lost the league by a goal last year. You know, so add that extra goals in, and all of a sudden it becomes a totally different team." And that's what Haaland has done.
Right.
I mean, he really has been phenomenal for them.
He has. And when you look at Ferguson, the astuteness of them buying Van Persie, didn't buying Cantona in another era. He bought players who really blossomed and made the team better as well.
Oh yes,
like that other chap, I forget his name now, from the Netherlands. That other striker they had, the Dutch guy, forget his name now.
yeah.
And they brought him in as well, and
it's Van Nistelrooy.
Van Nistelrooy. They were just sensational players.
Yes, they were. And then of course he had Andy Cole, and he had Dwight York, he had Teddy Sheringham, and he had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's able to bring Solskjaer and Sheringham on in the last 2 minutes of the European Champions League final, and they both score a goal to win it for him. You know, I mean, they've had fantastic players, and they've had a bit of good fortune as well. But Haaland is just something else. He is. I mean, I don't see how you're going to stop him.
No, and obviously, just to recap ourselves, Joe, obviously Haaland was the top scorer in the Premiership with 36 goals. Harry Kane had 30, and Tony had 20, and I don't know who the other fellow was. He had 19 goals, but there was no one near between Kane and Haaland. It's 66 goals between the two of them. I mean, Harry Kane, surely, we speculated here before, surely he's going to move. I'd
expect him to be moving. You know, it's going to be really interesting now with Pochettino over at Chelsea, but I just cannot in any way, shape or form see Daniel Levy selling Harry Kane to Chelsea. I just don't see it.
No.
And if Harry Kane decides to force their hand this year, I think that the most likely destination, the only other destination for him, is United.
Yeah, that's if he's staying in England. I agree with you there. I don't think there'll be many clubs abroad looking for him, and that's not no reflection on Harry Kane. I think that when you look around at Germany, Italy, and France and Spain, who'd be looking for him really,
Well, you wonder sometimes. Some guys are just made for a particular league to play in. I think Harry Kane is a Premier League type player.
Joe, I think since we were here last, Luton Town have made it.
Yes, they have. Congratulations.
So I sent the message to Derwin, a Man United diehard fan, that welcome to Kenilworth Road.
Oh yeah. Now, did you see that they're demolishing the stand in the summer and they're going to have it completed by the time the season starts?
They have to spend between 10 and 12 million, but really to bring it up to that particular standard, and that's fine too. But I mean, the soul of the ground will remain the same anyway. The spirit of the ground, and I think that it just, I mean, from non-league in '92, non-league to the Premiership.
Yes,
I mean, Wimbledon did that as well, didn't they?
Well, Wimbledon went from non-league to
the FA Cup final.
Yeah, and they won the FA Cup. So so they've done something really well. But I mean, Luton has been so well run by people. They've had some terrific coaches, managers in there. I think John Still was the guy that got him promoted out of the EFL.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a manager back then. Did a terrific job. He was a great guy in the lower leagues, and then they kind of managed to get some more people from in after that were able to carry it on.
And we were talking about that. I must mention to you, Joe, I was at the showdown between Pike Rovers and Fairview Rangers Saturday night at Pike Rovers, the match that decided the league. And I'll just play this bit of clip first. We tied the two men nicely. Now that was the excitement after the match. The match ended 0-0.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a very good 0-0. I know people might think you did no goals, but I hope you understand what I'm saying is it was a battle of the defences. Both had very good defences. Pike's defence, I think, edged it, because I was behind the goals for most of the first half in Pike, and I went down to the other side in the second half to see how they coped as well. I met Anna. Anna Moore was there, of course. Anna Moore is Fairview Rangers diehard Anna. And she'll be coming back to us soon, hopefully. But the Pike, anyway, got a 0-0 draw and they won the league. And they're top of the pile. Declan Waters there, be cousin of yours, wasn't he, Joe?
Yes, he's my first cousin, yeah.
Declan is the chairman of the club. And we were chatting away before the match about Luton Town and about the lads, the old guys like ourselves, old fogies, and the romance of football is not completely dead, although we believe the soul of it is nearly gone out of some clubs, but that's our own opinion for what it's worth. It's still exciting. But in the championship, Sheffield Wednesday got promoted to the championship today.
Was that? I followed that online as well. And I saw that they had the goal disallowed for the offside, and I'm going, oh my God. Wednesday are going to go to a shootout here, and they're going to get pipped at the post. And I mean, Barnsley must have done a fantastic job to hold out for.
They did, and
they did.
Well, actually, I think it was 5 seconds from full time.
Yeah, so it's literally the last header of the game. The last
action, you could say, the last action of the game, apart from kicking out the ball.
Yeah.
and they're gone up to the Championship. The other Sheffield are gone up to the Premiership, United,
Right.
because
And then Carlisle went up to
one,
League One,
yeah,
and then Notts County went into League Two.
yes.
So that was all the
And we're not
playoff stuff.
forgetting, in case there someone might remind us, we're not forgetting Wrexham as well. We know where
Right, Wrexham won it. They were already up, so
but
yeah.
Akpan from Middlesbrough was the top scorer in the Championship with 28 goals, and Guy O'Mean from Coventry had 21, and Morris of Luton Town had 20. So they were the top three scorers in the Championship. I mean, obviously, Joe, with the disappointment from a personal point of view, with Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton being relegated. Now, obviously, there was a lot of talk about Leicester City.
Yes.
It's the most expensive club recently, wage-wise and outlay, to go down to the Championship. Now, as we know, we both spoke about this right throughout the program. You don't have to be a genius. It is it's a very competitive league, the Championship. There's some, I mean, look, we had Middlesbrough and Coventry. I mean, they proved their mettle this year. Blackburn Rovers weren't far off.
Right.
There's a few more of them down there around 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. They're going to be in the hunt for it. And with Southampton going down, Leicester and Leeds, I mean, they're all going to be added into the mix, which will make a fantastic league again. But as I said, there's only three of them going to be able to come up next season again,
Well, that's the hard part of it. You get the opportunity, and if you don't grasp it at the time, then you just never know what's going to happen, and the new one's coming down. I mean, the thing that I don't understand, and I'm looking at this, and Everton, right? Everton escaped for the second year in a row by the skin of their teeth.
They did.
Yet for 2 years they've had football fair play shenanigans hanging over them, and nobody has done anything to dock them any points. If that was in the EFL, teams would have been docked points during the season.
Yes.
That's what happened to Reading. Reading got relegated because I think they lost 10 points or something.
They did, and they're finding and good teams, like good clubs like Sunderland and Ipswich, solid clubs for years. They're finding it extremely difficult to come back up again,
Oh yeah.
And they've been down there for a good while. So really, it is a serious situation. Obviously, with Burnley are coming up with Sheffield United and Luton Town. We'll see how they'll get on. Burnley have been up and down. I don't know myself. I felt sorry for Big Sam because I like him.
Yeah, but the one thing that the three relegated clubs have in common, and to be fair to Everton pulled the plug on their manager and gave Sean Dyche the job and gave him enough time to turn things around.
Yes.
Leicester, Southampton, and Leeds all made very, very poor decisions in who they appointed, and by not doing it in time.
Yes.
They did not give the people enough time to come in and put their stamp on the team like Everton did. And that's what Dyche made Everton in the finish. I mean, he made them a very difficult team to beat. And then he got a couple of good results along the way. The big win at Brighton was a big one. The draw at Leicester was a big one for him. So, but at least he had the time to get to work on the training field with these players and get what he wanted. The other guys didn't.
And the one thing yesterday, you probably noticed yourself, Brentford did the double over Man City.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. And, I mean, that whole Premiership, though, I mean, that Premiership is like 3 separate leagues within itself. You have the top 6, 7 teams that are pretty much, other than Chelsea's absolutely disastrous season this season. Normally, that group are off on their own and they're playing for the top end. then you get the middle group that are playing for like Brentford were trying for the Europa League and what have you, and doing that, and Brighton now are in there, and then you have the other ones that are just striving to stay in the Premier League.
Yes, and I feel for Frank Lampard because he'd have a unique record to get 2 teams in the same year relegated from the Premiership.
Well, here's one for you. Frank Lampard, since he took over at Chelsea, has what was it? He's taken less points than Leicester City have in that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if Frank Lampard if he'd been in charge from the beginning of the season, Chelsea may have been relegated.
Well, can you just imagine it?
Oh,
there's a lot of clubs from London now. You have Chelsea, obviously. You have Arsenal. You have Brentford, Fulham, Tottenham,
West Ham,
Luton Town.
Yeah, Luton now are there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
all from there in there. Yeah. So
West Ham. Yeah, I forgot about West Ham. There's a lot of London clubs on. There'll be a lot of derbies. Huge derbies to look forward to as well. And obviously we look forward. Between the Premiership now and the Championship, it will be very interesting to see how they get on, Obviously, Joe, over in Europe, Bayern Munich are champions of Germany, Napoli are in Italy for a while back, Barcelona, PSG and Man City. So all those clubs...
I don't know if Bayern won it or...
Dortmund lost it?
Yeah, threw it away. They drew at home. Last game of the season.
They did.
And then there was I saw one of the teams, I'm not sure if it was the second division team, that their game finished and they'd won and they were cheering because they got promoted.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a team that was still playing scored 2 goals inside of a minute to win and pushed that other team down to the playoffs and they got promoted instead of them. So it's...
Yeah.
And they're talking that Tuchel is going to be walking out on Bayern.
Oh.
They're saying that in the next couple of days he might be walking.
Where will he be going?
I have no idea because Oliver Kahn and Salihadinovic, the general manager, just both got sacked.
Oh, that's interesting now. Pochettino is back in England.
Yes, he's at Chelsea, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
It will. The only problem, it's a terrible thing to say, the season is just over. If a manager is not in charge of the team, what is the point of having a manager?
And that is the thing that's always the argument for football people. And to be honest, they're talking now about directors of football, this, that, and the other thing.
Oh, God,
it's eventually it's the manager that carries the can for everything.
Yeah.
But if I'm the director of football and I'm giving him the players, then isn't that my fault for signing those players?
Yeah.
That he's not able to work with or that are maybe not good enough. A manager stands and falls, and Ferguson always talked about this. Manager always stands and falls by his own decisions.
Yes.
That's why the Man City, people can say what they like about him. They can say the money is this, the money is that, it's all this, they do whatever they do. But that club is run perfectly.
It is. And there's no doubt in my mind that Pep is in charge of the team.
Oh, he tells the 2 boys that were at Barcelona with him what players he wants, and they go and get them.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Sir Alex was the same way when he had when he had
Queiroz from Portugal.
Yeah, but Queiroz was his right hand man, and he took training. But who was the chief executive at the time? Not Martin Edwards, the guy after him.
Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. I can see him.
He's at UEFA now, or FIFA. But
he had the two of them.
yeah, and he had him, you know, and he'd tell him. I mean, I remember the time when Wayne Rooney became available, and Newcastle were the favourites for him.
They were.
And Sir Alex Ferguson went to, oh God, I can see his face right in front of me now. It won't come to me. But he went to him and he said, hey, we really need to get Rooney. He's going to be a huge difference. This player's total class. And he said, okay, he said, but you're going to have to use next year's budget to do that. And Ferguson said, yeah, let's do it. So they got the money. He got him the money, then bought him that year. And the next year, he didn't sign anybody for any big money. So it turned out to be a great decision for him.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's when two people are pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, I was listening to people on the different podcasts, just bits and pieces, and the different sports programs speaking about the Premiership Manager of the Year. Quite a few of them came out for Eddie Howe at Newcastle.
Eddie Howe and the Zerbi at Brighton are two guys, and Thomas Frank at Brentford.
Yeah,
those are guys that absolutely did fantastic jobs. And Eddie Howe has done an absolute terrific job.
And we said it before, Joe, and we recognise it here on SportsView, but Eddie Howe, never in the headlines, never in the gossip columns, never shouting and roaring, never controversial, does his job professionally, a very astute admirer of different players. I think he's done a phenomenal job. Okay, look, as you said, Joe, you can give people money. You can see what happened to Chelsea, billions and billions and billions, and no one able to manage them. Look at Newcastle, slowly build player, 2 players, 3 players. They solidified their position as in the top 4.
Yeah.
And they're in Europe. They have European football. They have a budget now. They can attract more players. And really, he's consolidated that club now as a top club.
Yes, he has. He has. Oh. And I mean, he has done a fantastic job with it. And the way that he's managed the team and the way he moved. I mean, Joe Linton, before he moved him back into midfield, was he was at loss.
He was.
They were saying he was a bust. All of a sudden, you put him next to Bruno in midfield, Guimaraes, and all of a sudden you've got a player that's absolutely unbelievable. Then you have Almiron. Almiron has scored more goals this year than he's ever scored for Newcastle United. And that's all down to the way that Eddie Howe has him playing and how he works with him. And they're just, I mean, defensively, they're very, very solid. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see where they go.
And you mentioned Brentford. Of course, we have to mention Nottingham Forest as well. They survived in the Premiership, another team that we admired, and really fair play to them. And I wonder, I was just thinking, would Luton Town take out Harry Maguire on loan? He'd be a good loanee for them at the back, I think.
Yeah.
I think it changes club. We won't put the man down, God's sake. People can lose their form. As you know yourself, Joe, you see down through the years where a player can, no matter what you do with him, it's the wrong club.
Yes.
I know it's all soccer, it's all the same sport, but sometimes the environment, the place, I think the club is too big for him.
And sometimes that happens, and like you say, I mean, it might be that, some guys like to be a big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
And then, the big pond just doesn't suit them.
And I think I'm not saying he'll go to Luton Town, but if he consider going to clubs like that, a club like that, build himself up again. He's a good player,
He's a fine player.
I mean there are players far, far worse than him, and they never get as much slating as he does,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Liverpool team. There was a few players there that are shambles all the year.
But
Van Dijk has been rubbish all the year.
Yeah, but that's part and parcel of being at a club like United and Liverpool and City, Arsenal, Tottenham. wherever, when you're at those big clubs, you're all there are always people out there that are looking to bring you down.
Yeah,
And and that's sad in some ways that happens,
yeah, I agree with you.
because I mean, they're only human. And Harry Maguire didn't call up Man United and say, come and buy me for 85 million or
No,
80 million.
no,
United wanted him, and that's it.
that
you
was
know
it. Yeah, and I think that obviously, I think I think I don't think I don't think any. I don't know where he's going to go for his career. Like he's only 28. Is that 27 or 28?
Yeah, I mean, he's still a young guy. I can
He-
tell you this much: if Leicester City had Harry Maguire playing next to Johnny Evans all year,
yeah,
Leicester City would not have got relegated.
spot on now, because Johnny Evans is a brilliant professional, a very underrated but a great professional, a
Yes.
very good, fantastic, gives you 100% every day he goes
Yeah.
out. I'm a huge admirer of Johnny Evans for years, you know.
Yeah.
The young player of the year they were talking about it was Saka from Arsenal. I wouldn't disagree with that, you know. I wouldn't
No,
disagree.
I wouldn't disagree. He had a very good season. He had an
Yeah,
outstanding season.
he had, and he had a very good showing in the European Championships and the World Cup as well, you know.
Yeah.
And I think he's quite good. Mr. Moneybags, the bank of Lionel Messi's on the move from PSG.
Is he going to?
Sure. Far East, I think.
Is I just don't get it. You know what I can't understand? They're talking at Barcelona, right? About they want Messi and they want this, they want that. And they're talking about signing all these players. But yet, in the next breath, you're looking at they have to sell all these guys because they need to get another 140 million that they've lost to get it back in to pay some of the to get themselves free of the football fair play stuff. So how are they able to come in and buy, say, like Ruben Neves from Wolves? They're talking about buying him for 40 million.
Yeah.
How can you, on the one hand, look at buying somebody for 40 million and then say you're having a fire sale to get 140 million back into the club just to get yourself out of the trouble that you're in?
And sometimes clubs like Barcelona, like Real Madrid, and where you have big money involved, the bubble is going to burst for clubs like that soon. The bubble is going to burst. There's going to be a day of reckoning. I think myself.
Well, there is, but you have to understand that Barcelona and Real Madrid have been bailed out by the government
They
on
have.
numerous occasions.
They have.
And they've had an advantage that is way unfair on all the other clubs in Spain.
Yeah, well, that's very true. And it bubbles to the surface now and again. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I think if it's run like Man United, there was friends of mine over there, and they were shocked at the state of the stadium, parts of the stadium.
Yeah,
Shocked. It's
yeah,
falling down in comparison to when they went to Anfield, just to contrast them, how they were treated, the facilities. It's like chocolate cheese, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Uh, I'm talking about corporate, where they won corporate prizes to go to Liverpool and to go to Man United. They said they'd never pay a corporate for United what they got there. It was terrible stuff.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's the thing with it. So, is it going to go from the theatre of dreams to the theatre of nightmares?
Well,
Because that's what's happening with it. They're falling so far behind with
absolutely.
everything that they've got. Their training ground is nothing's been put into that. There's the Old Trafford itself, nothing been put into it. It's and everywhere you look, other teams are moving past them and moving on. Everton pretty soon are going to have a brand new ground. That's going to be the envy. It looks like Liverpool are expanding there at Anfield. So United need to get their act together.
Now, you're tuned to SportsView with Joe Waters and myself here on Monday, the 29th of May, 2023. And this show will be going out later on at around 9:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And press the red button to subscribe to our channel. And we are obviously, I suppose, remembering Leicester City in its heyday. We'll just give you a little memory for Leicester City. We wish them the best of luck. We hope they'll come straight back up.
Waters. Oh yes! Oh yes for the youngster! Oh! He'll remember that all his life. What a way to start your career in big time football. Oh, he was in his own half, so he's all right. Waters again. I don't think he can possibly believe it. And surely.
Well, Joe, I think Leicester City, we wish them a speedy return to the Premiership.
I think it may be a little bit longer than that, unfortunately. There's so many players that are going to be leaving. And it needs to be a complete rebuild. And whoever takes that on, it's going to take time. It's going to take 2 or 3, possibly even 4 transfer windows to get it back together again.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, people, like you said earlier, Pat, some people don't realize how difficult the Championship is, how competitive it really is.
Yes, I'm no expert, but I was looking down through the Championship teams. There's definitely 16, 18 teams where there wouldn't be much between them.
Yeah.
And really,
And how many of those teams would be former First Division Premier League teams?
A lot of them have been in the Premiership already 2, 3, 4, 5 years, They still have a pedigree there,
Yeah.
But, it's going to be very tough. Now, over the weekend, Joe, Munster won the United Rugby Championship over in South Africa against the Stormers. As we're on here tonight, the Thomond Park down the road from us here is packed. There's a homecoming razzmatazz with buntings and flags and bands and singing and the rest into the night. Oh, by the way, Pike Rovers, they partied into the night, and rightly so, Saturday night, I forgot to mention. And a lot of people watch this podcast during the week, So they were all giving you their best wishes, Joe,
Yeah.
I don't know who it was now. Happy Kelly, as someone said. Tell Waters he's a great bluffer or something like that. We're just slagging him all together, but it was nice.
Happy is never short of a word, that's for sure.
He said other words as well, but they weren't in English, so I didn't speak Irish, so I didn't take him up on it. But it was nice to see Munster winning a trophy because it's been a long time, and when you look at players like Keith Earls, who's given sterling service to the province, a wonderful example of a true professional, and never a hint of anything about the man. A very good living man and fantastic professional, and a great servant for Munster. They won their trophy. Of course, I think their final was when they beat Leicester in the semi-final.
Well, that's the way it is, and that in itself comes with we all know how good Leinster are. Leinster they're still the cream of the crop in Ireland without a doubt. And if they, it's like if they had it to do over again, would they have played a different team against Munster? Maybe they would, but that's what happens when you're going for trophies. You have to juggle things. You have to make decisions based on what's coming up with La Rochelle and what have you. And so those are things that Munster got their chance and they took it, and there's nobody can knock them for that. And they went to a very difficult place where the referee was not very friendly to them.
No,
and they managed to pull it off.
They had to be extra disciplined. There's a few nice young players have emerged during the year, not unnoticed, but you know what I mean, under the radar, and they're proving their mettle now in the team. I had my doubts about Graham Roundtree, I must admit, at the start of the season. I had said it was a mistake, but who knows? You don't see everything from the outside. You know what I mean, Joe?
Right.
How people go about things, how they organise things. Not only to be a good coach, but to be able to organise, and I suppose the different characters of the different players, the different needs and wants and all of the players, both the pack and the backs, and 9 and 10. So I mean, it seems to have worked out very well for them, and there's a huge positive vibe around Munster now. And Ronan O'Gara has committed to La Rochelle for another year anyway, so there'll be no more speculation now.
But I mean, to be fair, Tony Ward has great time for Graham Rowntree.
Actually.
Yeah, and I read Wardy's article the other day. Wardy and I go back a long time, and he was saying what a good organizer, what a good the real thing about being a head coach is gaining trust. And trust manifests itself the most when things are going wrong, because you still trust your coaches to do what they're doing, and what you listen to what they're telling you.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that is so refreshing about that. And I'm so happy for Graham Rowntree that he's won that, because he seems a genuine bloke.
He is,
and plus he played for Leicester Tigers, so he can't be bad.
He did, actually. You're right. He played Leicester. That's true. I forgot about that. And just touch briefly. We won't cover golf because our golf man is finished. Formula One, the same result in Formula One. Guess who won it? There's six Formula One races gone now. Red Bull have won all 6 of them.
Yeah.
So Verstappen was first, Alonso second, and there you go. Look, I'm not disparaging George, but I think it's gone very boring, Joe. It's gone very boring.
I mean, is it a sport anymore, or is it just a parade? Because is
it a showcase for big companies and sponsorship and corporate people? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
Anyway, the GA was on. The GA is hotty up in the hurling. I was at a hurling match yesterday between Cork and Limerick, and it was 325 to 130. Some scoring in scorching 25-30 degrees. Just wonderful hurling. Had to be a loser, which was unfortunate, Cork, but had to be a loser. And it's just unfortunate. But the Limerick are into the Munster final now, where they'll be going for their 4th All-Ireland in a row, which is a tremendous achievement when you consider that 4 in a row has only been done twice ever in the history of the GAA, which goes back away over 130 years now. It's only been done twice ever by Cork and Tipperary. So there you go. Kilkenny and Cork, I beg your pardon, Kilkenny. So 4 in a row. I mean, Limerick had a sluggish start to the championship themselves. They'd say that themselves when Clare beat them in the Gaelic rounds. But they've recovered well. They've consolidated well. They found a few new young players. The Carlo O'Neill has been sensational. He could have got 3 goals yesterday. He only scored 1. He was just flying. And so there you go. I think they'd be favourites at this stage, Joe, to bring the 4 in a row home,
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, this game, I have to say, had me very nervous. The way Cork have been playing, and I just thought that this could have been the banana skin that got us, but they came through it.
They did,
and they showed. They showed their character. They showed their team spirit. All the things that you look for in champions.
Yeah, and there's no doubt, home venue, not making no excuses, does mean a couple of points to a team. Does mean something. Your own home patch where you togged out at under 8 or under 12 or whatever. That psychological thing. It doesn't allow you to panic as much as, say, Cork would panic coming up to the strike to the 75th minute or whatever it was. So I think not alone that their skill alone, but nevertheless that emotion from the crowd really penetrated the team and drove them on. You could see that they were flat after the first half. It was 2-12 to 18 points at halftime, level scoring. And in the second half, Limerick scored a goal in 13 points and Cork scored a goal in 12 points. So that's how close the match was. But really, well done to Limerick for coming through a really stern test. And there you go. Now, Cork, Waterford, and Wexford are gone out of the championship in the month of May. As we were saying before the programme started, Joe, we'll have to do analysis of this somewhere down the line, you know. Anyway, there you go. Cycling, we had my own neighbour's relation came fifth overall in the Giro d'Italia. Eddie Dunbar from Bantier in North Cork, County Cork. Eddie Dunbar, a big rise for him up the ranks in professional cycling, which is a very, very tough sport, Joe. Cycling.
Yes, it is.
You use every muscle in your body for cycling, you know, every muscle. And really, to see him doing so well, he's the highest placed since the time of Roach and Kelly were cycling professionally for Ireland together in that era, you know. So who knows? Another local man of mine, a Kilshannig man, won the Ross Talton there last month. So whatever they're eating in that parish, I must find out what kind of a diet they're on. It seems to be working well for them anyway, you know.
Send me a bit of it, will you?
Yeah. And of course, with boxing, Michael Conlon was fighting in his hometown of Belfast over the weekend. One fight too many for him. He was flattened in the 5th round, and it was a very sickening knockout in that the towel was thrown in immediately. That's a serious recognition that your fighter has been hurt. And it took a long time for him to come around, but all the reports today obviously are positive. So, well, they won't normally do scans and all of that, but hopefully he'll retire now, Michael. He had a reasonable profession, a terrific amateur career. Conlon, he won all the what he could win, and never made it to the top as a professional, simply because, similar like Katie Taylor, I'd say, Joe, didn't have a knockout punch.
Yeah, and it, well,
didn't have a punch that could stop you in your tracks, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a huge thing to have in your arsenal when you're a boxer. Have that one that can lay people out.
It is. And so, I thought myself, I mean, when I was looking at the fight, like I thought it was it didn't look good to me in Saturday, you know. And he was suffering, and I don't know what it is. Your man was way too powerful for him. Katie Taylor had said over the weekend in some interview, I didn't read it myself, but my son was telling me that she's looking for a rematch against your one from Nottingham. I think that's a mistake myself.
I saw an article, read an article, where she said, I don't know what retirement is. So, you know, so sometimes you just got to look at it and, you know, you gotta go, you know what? I've had a real good run. I've been very fortunate in everything that I've done, and it's just time to walk away.
And you and I are in the world long enough to have seen this carry on down through the years, particularly in professional boxing, where they've just taken one fight too many, like Larry Holmes against Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
he should never have taken that fight. He could have been badly hurt, like Muhammad Ali against Larry Holmes, you know, as well.
Right.
Joe Fraser against George Foreman when he was knocked down 8 or 9 times, you know. I mean, really, you don't need those fights, you know. You don't need to take those where you can't win no matter what you do. I hope Katie Taylor will be advised to retire. That's my opinion, looking away in from the outside, because she's nothing to prove, Joe. She's nothing to prove.
No.
In my opinion, and you will probably want to fight back in Nottingham, back in England. So, you know, really, except there's something going on that I don't know. But really, I don't know. Is there any need for her to be fighting again? I don't know. She doesn't need the money. She has enough money made, I'm sure, at this stage, We're
Yeah.
getting back. Sports Use the program. Press the red button to subscribe to our channel. Tell all your friends about us. And in a few weeks' time, we hope to start the golf podcast. So it's coming all right as soon as we organise ourselves. Anyway, getting back to soccer, Joe. Man City have won 3 now in a row in the Premiership. Will they win 4 in a row next season?
Well, it's so difficult to predict. I'm looking at people already, and they're hanging Arsenal out to dry and saying Arsenal are done. They're not even going to be in contention next year. And
right.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that one. I think Arsenal will be back. They've got a manager that's is too motivated to let anything like that happen.
Yeah.
And he's building something. And the only thing that's going to hold him back is whether the Cronkies want to spend money to win the Premier League.
Yeah, that's true.
That I think is going to be the big difference in that.
Well, I think they'll just certainly be, and I think Newcastle, they'll all be up about there. And we have Man United. You can never write them out. I mean, except it depends on their investment, obviously. Man United. Yeah. So you're Man United, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man City, and possibly Liverpool, because it's a well-run club, Liverpool, and they need players though. I mean, your man has been disappointing to that Portuguese fella they bought, Nunes.
Oh, Devin Nunes, yeah, but it's like everything else, I mean, you're expecting guys to come in and come out the traps flying, and it doesn't always happen. It's very, very difficult to go into a new club with on foreign soil, which it is. You've got a language barrier, you've got a whole new system that you have to learn, and it takes time. It takes time for these guys to bed in, and I think that he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay.
Obviously, when we're considering the year that's gone, obviously the champions, Man City, are the team in the champ. But when we're picking out our team of the Premiership, we're picking out, in my opinion, Joe and myself, we're concentrating on a team that have done exceptionally well. The club is well run. Who's your number one club in that category?
I would say that the City have to be up there. The only thing they haven't done is they haven't won the Champions League. And if they do that, I can see them going on for a good while. I can see them maybe winning 2 or 3 Champions Leagues in a very, very short period of time. The only thing I'm concerned about it would be if they lost. It looks like they might be losing Ilkay Gundogan.
He's a good player.
He's a terrific player. And I mean, and then, oh God, his name was just on the tip of my tongue there. The other midfield player that scored twice against Real Madrid in the last game, Bernardo da Silva.
Yeah.
I mean, a terrific player. With those two in midfield for them, how they play, that would be how they'd replace those two is going to be very interesting. And the only way I can see something happening is they may hijack the deal for the English kid at Dortmund.
Bellingham.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham. Yeah, they may hijack that one because that would be an amazing signing for them.
Well, they have the money.
Oh yeah, they do.
So it'll be up to the player himself then whether he wants to go there or go to Man United
Yeah,
or Liverpool or wherever. I don't know where. Where's
yeah.
he from? I know he's England, but
But isn't he from Birmingham? Didn't he start off at Birmingham City?
is he from Birmingham? Yeah.
I know his brother played. Doesn't his brother play for Birmingham?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he does. I think it's Birmingham. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United came up. Will all three go down again, or will they stay up?
It's going to be very difficult for them.
It is not.
It's going to be. It is going to be a huge challenge for them.
Yeah, it is. Particularly for Luton Town, I must say, of the three.
Yeah.
Luton Town will be the ones, in my mind. It'll be a roller coaster year, no matter wherever you go, whatever you do, you know.
Yeah. I didn't see what happened to the boy from Luton that had to come off.
He collapsed on the pitch. They didn't say exactly. Still, he's perky out. He's in hospital for tests and things. They'll never tell you fully, obviously, because of,
right.
Except as a serious medical condition. He looks, on the face of it, he looks to be fully recovered.
Yeah.
But
I saw pictures of him on Facebook and what have you, and he looks, he looks to be fine. But
he does.
That's the danger. That is it. That is so terrifying that stuff like that can happen.
Oh, it is, yeah, and it happens all too frequently, unfortunately, recently. Yeah. But I said,
in over here, I don't know what it's like in Europe, but we have defibrillators available at all our school events because we've had so many kids that collapse.
I know, in all the secondary schools here in Shannon, I know they have defibrillators and training done. In most workplaces, certainly where I work, they all have defibrillators. I did training myself on defibrillators.
Yeah.
And I think there's a consciousness now, an awareness, more of an awareness now as well, that they have them, And I think soccer clubs, I think they have them up in the lads as well. I saw one there, I think. I'm almost certain,
Oh, yeah. They would have, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
The amount of money that they've got, you'd imagine they have those all over the place.
So, Joe, you're the team in green. Well, obviously, Pike Rovers won the thing, but the team in green and hurling looks like they're on the road again for the 4 in a row. For soccer next season, I suppose Man City will start off as favourites to win the Premiership. We know that.
Yes. Yeah.
And the chasing pack will more or less be the same suspects. A team might come out of the pack like a Leicester City did. Like, do you remember when Leicester won the Premiership?
Yeah.
Blackburn Rovers in 1995.
Yeah, it's the thing with Leicester was a really was a shock, but Blackburn Rovers, Jack Walker put a lot of money into Blackburn Rovers to win that championship team.
He did
to support that championship team, and it was kind of it was a one-off, and when he passed away and the family decided they didn't want to support the club anymore, they wanted to do something different with the money, they weren't into soccer like Jack was, then that kind of went away. But to be honest, it's so hard to see anybody outside of the likes of City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea,
Newcastle.
Newcastle now are on the way, but you're looking at 6 teams right there. That some
you have Pochettino, who I hope will improve. Could improve.
And he will improve Chelsea. Chelsea will be right back in it. There's no doubt about that. They have the spending power. They have all the tools to get themselves back very quickly to where they want to be. But the whole thing with Leicester kind of caught everybody in transition. All the other teams had down years, and Leicester kind of took full advantage of that, and they just had so much going for them in terms of momentum and what have you. I don't see that happening again.
The manager was good as well.
He was the perfect guy. I loved it when they were at Stamford Bridge. Spurs were playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
Spurs were 2-0 up, and all of a sudden in the second half, Chelsea came alive, and Eden Hazard was actually absolutely brilliant in that game, and they eventually end up equalising at 2-2, and the game finished at 2-2, and some wag in the stand held up a sign that said, "Claudio, I always knew you'd win a league championship at Chelsea." So, but you know, there's a guy that gets absolutely hammered for, they call him the Tinkerman at Chelsea when he was there.
Yeah.
But what he had was, he had 2 players for every position. And he was the first guy to start doing that.
Yeah.
In the Premier League. Then
Yeah.
everybody else followed him. And all of a sudden, none of them are getting called the Tinkerman.
No.
You know, because
I thought Ranieri got an ordeal in the media myself. I always thought he was an excellent manager myself. I thought he was fantastic.
yeah, I mean, he's done a good job wherever he's been, you know, for the most part.
Didn't he win the European Cup with Chelsea?
Did he win it with Chelsea? I'm not sure if he did.
I'm not too sure. Don't take my word for that now, lads. I'm sure I forget now. Was it Ranieri? I forget who won the.
No, it was
the other fella.
Di Matteo.
Di Matteo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, Claudio, but you never know. Where is he now? I've lost the run of him. Is he in soccer? Is he still in soccer?
Who's that?
Ranieri.
Yeah, well, he came back and he worked at Watford there for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, anyone that goes to Watford is on a hiding to nothing. You're only waiting to get your P45 out of there.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and that's the other thing. You get the guy that leaves Watford and goes to Luton and gets Luton into the Premier League. How do Watford feel now? Yeah.
Well, there you go. We have the European Cup to look forward to yet between Inter Milan and Man City. How do you see that going before we finish, Joe?
To be honest, I really cannot see past City in that game. Yeah, I really cannot.
I'd be inclined to agree with you because I think they have more about them than Inter Milan myself.
Yes, I think so.
And
I think so.
The only thing I think I hope the occasion and nerves and all of that doesn't get in the way of City performing to their potential.
Right.
That's all I worry about, but you never know. It'll be a tough match, but we wish them well, and to be the icing on the cake for Man City to finally lay the bogeyman and win the European Cup.
Yeah.
So from Joe Waters, lads, in Seattle and Washington, and we know Leicester will bounce back. We know they will. Straight up again, lads. Until we meet again, Joe, next week, with the help of God, for another edition of SportsView. So from tonight, good night, Joe, and take care, and good